Hello beer tubers and welcome to another brewery showcase with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today checking out Anderson Craft Brewery in Estonia. We're checking out 6 IPAs from them in one video. They sent a ton of beer and it came out of the blue. I just came home one day and there was a note about a package being delivered. And I was like, huh, interesting. I'm not expecting anything. So the guys from Anderson Craft Brewery sent a box, a surprise box, which is awesome. So thanks a ton, guys. Their barrel-aged barley wine, they did a bourbon version and a rum version, was quite well received. I remember it went on a few web shops and it was sold out really quickly. They sent one of those versions and some barrel-aged stouts and whatnot, but then a huge plethora of IPAs. So I thought we'd do a brewery showcase with some of these, or actually all of the IPAs, to get them drunk fairly fresh. Because these are around 2 months to 4 weeks in age. Let's see here, in terms of ABV, I guess we should start with the lowest. They're just ranked, standing like randomly. There's a sour IPA on 5% I see, and here there is a wheat IPA on 5%. So maybe we'll start with the wheat IPA. This is a collab with a band called Horror Dance Squad. It's 5%, and yeah, a wheated IPA. Let's check this one out. So pours a golden yellow, lightly hazy color, white head. Yeah, not crazy intense aroma on this one. This one is quite fresh. This is one of the 4 weeks ones. I'm getting mainly like a citrus thing, a little bit of grapefruit, maybe even a hint of passion fruit. Yeah, it's funny. It almost reminded me of when Perjala did a wheated hoppy beer as well. Uzmalim, was that the name or something? It was a shark on the label. It reminds me of something like that. It's just like a lighter, fruity IPA. Nothing crazy. Let's check it out. Cheers. Lightly resiny, quite wheaty. Mild and well balanced. Decent bitterness. Grapefruity mainly, piney. There is a little bit of that passion fruit edge. Not crazy amount. Nice. Light, easygoing. Kind of more classic IPA. Not a beer that's like crazy forward and intense. But I think this is maybe meant for more like a session type beer when you can drink a lot of. And I certainly can. It's got like definitely old school flair, but not like crazy amounts. And then a little bit of a new school profile with that like kind of juicy passion fruit flavor, and also a little bit of a juicy sweet citrus. So yeah, let's try and jump over to the 5% one then here. This is the sour IPA. And this one is called Sour Park. And this one is made with Hallertau Blanc hops and Citra hops. So dry hop sour beers can actually be quite good, I think. You know, it's not too often you see them around, but sometimes these like lighter sour beers, I remember Grimm did a lot of them, can be quite nice. Hazy, golden orange. Let's check out the aroma. Yeah, quite lactic, sour, and really grapey. It's really grapey. Hallertau Blanc really shines with like a musty kind of grape skin. That smells really good. And there's like a really like yeasty, bready bite. Like it almost smells like, it's almost something reminding me of like baker's yeast or something. Like if you've ever done baking, like when you make the yeast slurry, it kind of almost reminds me a bit of that. But I also smelled that. I can't remember which can it was, but it must have been that one, because as soon as I popped it and poured it, I was getting some of that. Let's check it out. Cheers. Not getting that on the flavor. Light tartness, really grapey, grape skin, also a little bit of grapefruit, not a lot of bitterness. That's very refreshing. It's a bit watery, and like, because I guess it's because it's some kind, I don't know, it doesn't say if it's lactic bacteria or is whatever it is like that they made this with. I think definitely there's lactic bacteria in here, but it's probably some kind of mixed culture that's eaten up a lot of the body of the beer, so it's like really light and really dry. And really grapey. It's quite refreshing. Also quite lemony, limey. But also like very light and balanced flavors. Nothing like really crazy and intense. Kind of like the wheated IPA. But yeah, that's nice. So we also have a West Coast IPA, but we'll save that one because that's one of the stronger ones. So I guess it's this one next. Is 6.2%. And this one is Last Mango in Paris. So this is a milkshake IPA or tropical hazy IPA with mango and coconut. They say it's the milkshake style themselves. Not usually my favorite type of IPA, but sometimes they can be quite fun. pours a more pale golden yellow color. This one's hazy. Not a lot of head, but when I poured it, there was some white head. Let's take this one out. Yeah, definitely getting coconut. It's got lots of milky coconut aroma. And also like a sweet mango. It almost smells a bit like a mango lassi. And I think actually it's the mango and the coconut that really shines the most. I'm not getting too much of a hop character. Let's check it out. Cheers. Quite different than your usual milkshake IPA. Because usually these are like really thick and fluffy and fruity. Like this is very light and very dry. I wonder if they have lactose in here. It's like, yeah, they do. But it must not be crazy amount. Very high carbonation as well. It's actually a fairly nice milkshake IPA. I think maybe they've added some Sabro hops to this. Because I'm getting like a little bit of a Sabro vibe with like a lemongrassy, dill, spicy kind of flavor. That's pretty good. Yeah. I'm actually surprised. Like I like this. This is really good. Like usually again, milkshake IPAs are too sweet for me, but I like how this is more or less just like a higher carbonated dry New England IPA, but with a fruit addition that's not too much, and then that coconut. It almost it's like playing with Sabro and then boosting Sabro. I think to some extent. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think that might be my favorite of the bunch so far. I didn't expect that. It's almost like some of these boot ales you also talk like kind of like the. I mean, it tastes like an IPA, but it's almost in the vein of these sour ales because it's also lightly tart. It's not really sour, but just maybe lightly. It's kind of like these more sour beers with like the Anchorage one with hops. It's almost something in that vein, but nowhere near as complex. Much lighter and easygoing. But yeah, that's good. So next beer, I guess, will be this one, which is Yellow Sabromarine. So this is a New England IPA, and it's 6.9%, and it's featuring Sabro hops and Yellow Sub. And Yellow Sub I've not tried before. I don't know what to expect from it. I've heard the hop before, but it's not. It's quite new to me. So this one definitely looks like a hazy IPA. More so than the milkshake one. Like this is juicy, orangey looking, whitish head. Let's check out the aroma on this one. And I think this is one of the freshest of the cans. Yeah, Sabro is definitely in there. I think there might be Sabro in this too. Like Sabro really shines. There's that coconutty, cool, like tropical vibe. I'm getting lots of passion fruit in this one too, actually, and pineapple. And it also has like a lemon limey brightness. Yeah, it's also dry on New England IPA. It's not like it's crazy full bodied, but I don't mind that at all. Like I think sometimes it can be cloying with like really fluffy New England IPAs. There's much more easygoing and much more dry. It's like a light dry. Like they're almost all of the beers pretty much are. They have a slight kind of watery feel to them. Not a lot, just a little bit. But they all drink really well, like session beers kind of. This again, Sabro is definitely there and has that coconutty vibe. It's passion fruity and pineappley, and that could also be partly Yellow Sub. And then it has that cool kind of herbal vibe. It's very tropical and it's also quite bright. So this might be topping this one right now because I prefer, like, it's really passion fruity on the aroma. Unfortunately, yeah, jumping back to this, smelling it, this is definitely the one I prefer. Just the only thing though is like it's like the aroma is a bit more intense than the flavor, and that's sometimes a letdown for me. But otherwise, this is really good. It's kind of like again, it's not like these very big, cloying, intense, full, juicy, overripe kind of beers. It's more like if you did like a more classic type IPA with a juicy profile. I don't want to say West Coast or anything, but it's just because it's lighter and drier and it's not like sweet and like super estery. I'm getting next to no esters on this, really. Like mostly lots of hop flavor. There is maybe a little bit of a generic juiciness, but That's for sure the best of the bunch so far. So let's jump over to this. I'm really excited about this. This is a West Coast IPA. So this is Westworld. They do not talk about hops on this one, but they say it's a double dry hop West Coast IPA. Oh, yeah, they do. There we go. It's just because it was in Estonian and I couldn't understand it. But it says here in English down below, which is awesome. I love that they do both English and in Estonian labels. But juicy and flavorful double dry hopped IPA with Citra and Simcoe hops. And I wonder how bitter this is going to be. I hope we're going to be in for like a more classic bitter treat here, because I love myself some West Coast IPA nowadays. And you know, Citra and Simcoe, that's a very good combo. So let's check this one out. Lightly hazy, a bit of chill haze, but I think it's also just a little bit of haze because they probably don't filter. Most breweries, maybe they have a small filter, but most small craft breweries, you know, they just rely on time and whatnot for yeast to drop out, and sometimes it doesn't drop out. It's still, you know, sometimes it happens with a beer you plan to be clear, it doesn't end up being clear. But it looks nice. It's like orange, golden orange, also a white head. This looks very classic, actually. Let's check out the aroma. Yeah, resiny, pithy. So this one is from the 17th of July. So this is one of the older cans. Yeah, pithy, grapefruity. There is definitely a little bit of a catty-ness, not crazy catty dank, just a little bit, which could be Simcoe. And a pineapple vibe, but it's like definitely resiny, grapefruity, pithy. I don't think it's too piney. It's definitely more to the fruity side. But yeah, it's got a little bit of a citrus oil thing, like sweet citrus too. It pretty much smells like classic European attempt at making West Coast IPA, because it feels a bit more restrained than a lot of the really, really good American ones. But it smells nice. Let's try it. Cheers. Yeah, man, I miss that. I miss that in beers. It's got a nice bitterness. It's really orangey and sweet citrusy. It has a bit of pine. This is definitely my favorite of the bunch. And it's probably not everyone else's favorite, but man, the aroma, this is the other way around. The aroma on this is a bit more mild and muted, but the flavor is quite big and it's holding up really well for its age. So I'm thinking that when this was just released, this must have been da bomb. Like a really nice West Coaster. It's dry, it's pithy, it's bitter, but it's a restrained bitterness. It's nothing crazy. Citra really plays in with loads of sweet citrus on the flavor and like tangerine, orangey, orange pithy vibes. Then in the aftertaste, there's a bit of spiciness and a bit of grapefruit flair to it as well. Maybe hints of pine, but definitely resiny flavors. And just the slightest bit of like a sweeter, breadier malt backbone. That's a very nice West Coast IPA. It's not like mind-blowing, but it's kind of like more old school West Coast IPA, but think like San Diego area and whatnot. Like it's these kind of classic IPAs from that area that featured a lot of cool, you know, fruity hop flavors, but not as much. Like a lot of people associate West Coast IPAs, old school ones, with like big pine and resin and garlic, onion, and all that. But a lot of West Coast IPAs weren't like that. They were also quite fruity, but they were just like really pithy, bitter, and also lightly piney. And this is to that extent. So, final beer. Let's move on to the final beer. This is Ella E. And this is a New England double IPA featuring Ella, Equina, and Enigma hops on 7.9%. And this one is a little darker. It's like an orange color. Yeah, it's just like screaming orange, warm orange. Not a lot of head, but what was there was like an off-white. You know, they've got a very similar haze level. They're probably using the same yeast. They're probably using the verdant yeast, I'd imagine. It's one of the most common yeast used, I think, for a lot of brewers in Europe right now for New England IPAs. Oh yeah, that's got an interesting yeast profile. This was probably the one I was thinking of when I was talking about baker's yeast. This I'm getting loads of it, more so in the sour IPA, like big time baker's yeast. It's almost all I'm getting. Yeah, it's like bready and baker. I don't know if this was the color of it when it was. It doesn't really look oxidized, but it could be that it had been a bit brighter in color. I don't know. I think it might be oxidized, this can. There's just like a little bit of a weird, yeah, it's I think it's there's just sherry vibe or papery vibe. Let's try it. Cheers. Yeah. Wow, that's a bit weird. It's like papery and yeasty, and it has like this coating on the tongue of just like like a chalky weird bite. Almost tastes like it's like some of the last bits of the tank fermentation tank being poured into the can. This is definitely my least favorite of the bunch. It's quickly up front. There's like a nice kind of tropical fruity flavor and whatnot. It just fades really quick into like really yeasty, doughy flavors, and almost like this wallpaper pasty type thing. It's almost like sometimes you get that flavor when there's a lot of chloride in New England IPAs, and it's almost like something like that. There, this sip I got a little bit more citrus, but it has like a little bit of a papery vibe, and the hops are really toned down compared to all of the other beers. Like all the other beers have huge not huge, but bigger hop profiles than this. But I think other than this, they're nice beers. You know, pretty good interpretations of different style IPAs. There's none of them where I'm really fired up about them, where I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. But they're decent, nice beers. I think my favorite for sure is the West Coast IPA, and I'd actually give that a straight 90. I think that is a very nice interpretation of like a San Diegan style West Coast IPA with a very nice fruit profile. And then surprisingly, I also really like both the Yellow Sub and the Milkshake IPA. So yeah, straight 90 for the West Coast IPA. Like an 88 for the Yellow Sub Sabro combo. It also has a bit of like a yeasty thing. Now I'm trying it again. But 85 for the hazy Milkshake IPA. And this one, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna rate it because it seems like it's a bit off. Again, it's like chalky, yeasty, and then it has like that like slightly papery sherry thing, like, and really muted hop character. Often you find when oxidization is starting to happen in beers, you see like a slight like muted profile of hops at first. So the hop profile is really muted, and then it transforms later and really quick because hops oxidize really fast into lots of like sherry vibes and whatnot. But it could also be because of the postman, because the whole box here was repacked, and I don't know if you can see it, but a lot of these cans have really been roughhoused. So I'm afraid that maybe it could have been punctured. No, probably not, because they're still under pressure and whatnot. So I'm not sure. It just seems a bit off. Again, it's like chalky, yeasty, and then a bit oxidized. Like, it just seems oxidized to me. Just because the flavor is so muted. So I don't want to rate that one. But yeah, so 90, 88 or so, 85, and then, yeah, probably straight 80 for both the Wheat IPA and the Sour IPA. They're quite nice beers, but they're just not like, whoa. Like, the only one to be honest, like the only one I'm really excited about, or fairly excited about, is the West Coast IPA. The others are decent and nice beers, and I'd be happy to drink them on tap, but it's not something where I'm really fired up. But I know what they're quite known for is mainly their barrel-aged stuff, and not so much IPA as far as I could gather. But they're definitely decent beers, and I think they're worth a shot. Like, if you're in Estonia, I'd definitely like to drink this if I was out and, seeing some beer on tap. So there you go. Honest as always. And, I just always got to speak exactly what I think and completely be 100% honest in my opinion on the different beers and whatnot. Never colored. At least I try not to be. So, but yeah, these are decent beers, and they're definitely worth a shot if you can get them. Thanks a ton to Anderson Beer for the whole set of beers. We got some more coming. We got an Imperial Stout. We got another sour beer, and then some of this barrel-aged stuff that we'll be diving into when we get around to it. So yeah, thanks a ton for watching, guys. Thanks a ton to Anderson Craft Beer for the set of beers. And as always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm gonna say cheers in the West Coast IPA, my favorite. And see you guys in another beer review.